verses. I shan't try to read all of them, but I must read some of them. In the 7th chapter of 1 Corinthians and the 1st verse, you'll find these words. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. That the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, for ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayers, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontentions. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. I would that all men were even as I myself. But every man hath his own, or hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and the widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. And to the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. I want to talk about making a marvelous marriage. Making a marvelous marriage. I contend that good marriages are made. They don't happen by chance. They don't just fall out the sky. God doesn't just throw dice and decide which couple is really going to be happy and whole and which ones are not. That if you're going to have a good marriage, you have to work at making it a good marriage. It's not an accident. And so Paul gives us here some ingredients that one needs in order to have a successful relationship, marital relationship. But when you read the text, you notice that he doesn't just talk about marriage. When you read the text, he really talks about life. He starts out talking about, I'm answering now what you wrote to me about initially. And the church of Corinth had been dealing with some things, and so he addresses it, because if you don't recognize that, you'll start thinking Paul was kind of shallow. He only deals with certain dimensions, but he deals with certain dimensions of marriage because he's addressing their concern. You remember they're in Corinth. Corinth is this corruptible place where everything goes. And so you had people had gone to the other extreme. I mean, when you're in a place where sin is prevalent and everything goes, the church has a tendency to go off to the left, you know, and start trying to get what I call Pharisaic mentalities and start making up stuff. So they had come up with that, you know, you should never involve yourself in any kind of sexual relationship, whether you were married or unmarried. In fact, they just felt like that any kind of sexual intimacy was a sin. And so Paul was dealing with that issue when he writes this particular chapter. All right. Are you going to pray with me? I'm going to start off then by talking about customized Christianity. Customized Christianity. Yeah. Customized Christianity. When it comes to the standards of Christianity, we don't set them. God sets the standards. But there are some things that God leaves to our choosing. All right. Are you going to pray with me? Paul gives us an example here that you have a choice of whether you want to be a single Christian or a married Christian. Oh, I wish I had somebody friend. Years ago when I was reading a pastor's magazine when I was a young pastor and just trying to find every little help I could get, I was reading and I was really indicted when this article was talking about how churches discriminate against single members. I was married at the time and I didn't know what he was talking about, but then when I got to read the article, I realized I was guilty, because if you are not careful, in most of our churches, we make people feel like they are second-class members if they're not married. I'm going to preach a while. Y'all might as well take your shoes off and twiddle your toes. Don't be a while. You know, they either tell you ought to get married or they're looking for your mate. They're always trying to match you up with somebody. They want you to be Cousin Bobo or Cousin Jane. They invite you over. You thought they invited just you to come over to eat, only to find that you're going into a trap. I wish I had a witness here. And so Paul would have us know that you really don't have to be married to be a whole Christian. You can be single and love the Lord. You can be single and do everything God wants you to do. Yeah. In fact, it sounds like Paul was kind of prejudiced on that matter, but Paul was speaking from a different perspective in that he says, I would that everybody could do what I do, and that Paul was a single man at the time. It is surmised that he probably was married earlier because, his background being a Pharisee, and then some people believe he was a member of the Sanhedrin. Those required the person is being married. But at this point in his ministry, he was not married, did a lot of traveling. And so Paul was saying that single life suits me because it does not distract me from ministering on a higher level. In other words, that when you're single, you don't have to deal with the hassle of trying to satisfy a mate. Because married life has its demand. That's all Paul is saying, that you can't be married without satisfying the demands of your mate. All right. And when you have to satisfy your man or satisfy your woman, whichever is the case, and I hope y'all the opposite, that when you do that, you find yourself not having as much time to dedicate to the Lord. You see, with Paul, he's really talking about trying to serve God on a higher level. So let me just say, when I say making a marvelous marriage, I'm not just talking to the married folk, I'm talking to all of us, that even if you're single, you ought to be married to the Lord. do is not pleasing to God, then I make the necessary adjustments in order to please Him. Do I have a witness here? Oh, help me, Holy Ghost. That Paul is not talking about you ought not get married. And don't even say, well, I ain't single and he don't want to get married. No, Paul is not saying that. He's saying that you can be single and live holy as long as you live holy. You can't call yourself a Christian and you going around and they talking about you a child of God. Somebody ought to say amen right there. And you can't just live any kind of way and talking about you giving God the glory. He said if you know how to abstain from certain kind of primitive behavior and still walk the straight and narrow, then you can lift God up. It's all right to live that kind of life. But if you got a problem containing your primitive drives, he said it's better to marry than to burn. See, Paul deals with a very, very easy thing. You see, I said marriage can be a distraction, but then lust can be a greater distraction. So he said if you marry and you can handle the lust thing, then that will then give you more time to serve the Lord and really on a higher level. But I think I ought to tell you, just because you marry don't mean you don't lust. A while, they're going to be mad at me anyway. If you're going to do what God would have you do, he said, you got to decide that I'm going to choose the life that's more applicable to my situation. You know what you need, you know what you desire, you know what your demands are. So you need to ask yourself, why am I getting married? Oh yeah. It got kind of quiet right about that. Some of y'all really give marriage a bad name. I mean, man, if I wasn't married, I'm not. I mean, you really don't get a whole lot of motivation to be married. Listen to some of you married folks. I'm just gonna tell you. I mean, all you do is complain about one another, talk about each other's faults, talk about each other's shortcomings, telling me a bunch of stuff I shouldn't know in the first place, because I don't live with you. I don't want to know that your husband's breath smells bad when you wake up in the morning. That's your business. I don't need to know all that. I don't need to know all your faults, his faults and failures. I don't need to know your wife ain't cleaning up the house. That's y'all problem. Y'all need to work all that out. You don't need to be spreading your personal information all up and down the highway. He said, you got to decide what life suits you best. I mean, if you are best suited being single, stay single. If you're best suited being married, you ought to be married. But whatever you do, you ought to glorify the name of the Lord. God should get the glory from your life. I wish I had a witness here. In other words, who are you pleasing? Who are you trying to live for? Who are you trying to make happy? When you wake up in the morning, is Jesus the center of your life? Did you wake up this morning with your mind stayed on Jesus? Are you allowing the devil to contaminate your spirit? What are you bringing into your house? Are you bringing a whole lot of devilment? Do you bring confusion? Do you wake up in the morning and it's peaceful until you start talking? Or are you always trying to bring trouble in the atmosphere? When was the last time you had a good day from morning to night? When was the last time you woke up with a good thought on your mind, had a good pleasing day, and everything was good? I mean, can your husband come on with lipstick on his collar without you pitching a fit, even though the man don't even know how it got there? I mean, how do you really behave? Paul said, I choose, and I think, if you can live by yourself, you ought to stay by yourself and you can glorify God. He said, but now, if you got a problem controlling yourself, you need to get married. All right, I could stay there, but I don't want to keep y'all all day. Let me go to the next one. I'm talking about a constant concentrated commitment. All right. A concentrated commitment that you should not get in any kind of lifestyle that you are not willing to commit to. All right. All right. We have too many half-hearted Christians. You claim you're a child of God, but you're not really committed to the cause of God. A lot of folks join church, but you're not committed to church. And you think church is just an option or just something that some people do. You want to treat the church like your social club. And you understand the church is more than a social club. So see, the Alpha Phi Alpha was organized by somebody, but the church was organized by Jesus Christ. Alpha Phi Alpha was a group of men who came together and got a code, and they agreed this is the way we're going to promote our program. But Jesus suffered and died. He shed his blood so that those of us who make up the church can participate in the church. So that if I'm going to be a member of the church, I ought to be committed to the church. I wish I had a witness here. So they said, if you're going to get into a single life, you ought to be committed to single life. In other words, I'm committed to glorifying God with all I do and say. I want to show some folks you can be a Christian without being married. You don't have to be a whoremonger in order to be a child of God. You can be single and still do the right thing. You don't have to break a whole lot of rules and call yourself a Christian. He said you can live according to the standards of God, because God is able to give you whatever you need in order to be what God would have you be. I wish I had a witness here. I've been talking a lot about single folk, but let me talk some more about marriage. Paul said by now, if you're just the same by the same token, if you want to be committed to single life, those of you who want to be committed to marital relationship, you ought to be as committed to that as you are anything else. Oh, yeah. And he said being committed in a marital relationship means being committed to your mate. In other words, your goals change once you get married. Once you're married, you have the responsibility of ministering to your mate. He mentions one area, but it's not just true for that one area, it's true for all. He mentions the area of sexuality because that's the area they were talking about, but it's really true for everything. He's saying the husband should give due benevolence to the wife, and likewise the wife to the husband. In other words, he's saying that your body is not your body. Oh, that was somebody. But your body belongs to the person you married to. Oh, yeah, this mighty husband right up in here. All I'm trying to, you have no business marrying anybody that you don't want to give your body to. When you're single, you can get away with this stuff, boy. They kill y'all. But look at here. Your body, he says, is not your body. But your body belongs to your mate. In other words, y'all heard me talk about this before. Anytime your wife needs to be satisfied, her appetites need to be quenched. He says it's your responsibility as her husband to do so. And the same thing is true otherwise. If your husband needs to be, or if your wife rather, needs to be satisfied, you got a responsibility. Wife and husband need to be satisfied, you got a responsibility. Oh, it got real quiet up in there. I didn't say it. It's in the book. It's right there. In the book. It's in the book. I didn't make it up. It's in the book. I know y'all trying to change the book, but you don't change the book. It's in the book. Don't get mad with me. Call up Paul. Cuss him out. Don't bother me. I didn't say it. Paul said it. But you know, it's amazing to me how you claim you love somebody, but you don't want to give them anything. You see, we want to give what we want to give. We want to do what we want to do. When we want to do it, and I understand we got an obligation. Remember, he's dealing with one problem. He's dealing with this problem of relates to sexual relationship. He just got to talking in chapter 6 how you have folk who are committing fornication. And he said fornication is not the kind of behavior becoming a child of God. I wish I had a witness here. That children of God don't behave that way because God has called us to a higher standard. You're not allowed to let the world determine your standard, because in Corinth, the standard wasn't what Paul was talking about. In Corinth, it was just like it is today. Anything goes. In Corinth, you could find anybody want to do what you wanted to do. Just get everything with in Corinth. And Paul said, children of God don't allow the world to set their standard. Their standards are set by the law. I wish I had a witness here. Now, I'm telling folks, you know, and I was raised to believe that God made rules to make life hard for us. And it seemed like God had rules that whenever you were having fun, it's a sin. But I found out God loves for you to have a good time. But God says in order for you to have a good time, you got to do it in certain confines. Because anytime you try to do it outside of certain confines, you're going to have some problems. I wish I had a witness here. When you found out that there's nothing wrong with sexual intimacy, he says as long as you got the right kind of relationship. You see, when you have in the right kind of confines, you ain't got to worry about getting no sexual transmitted disease, because you ain't doing it but with one person. Come on here, somebody. Oh, you can't pass nothing on to somebody because you keeping it closed, you see. You have all the family around you got it, but you ain't going to get it because you're already doing your thing with your thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Y'all look at me like funny. Well, you know, y'all act like it's a sin to have fun. You want to say it's a sin to make whoopee. Sin to have a good time. Nothing wrong with having a good time. He said, as long as you do it right there. Yeah. But the problem is, what's fun for one mate, a lot of time ain't fun for the other. Yes, sir. Oh man, it's rough, it's rough. Tight, but it's right. See, cooking might not be good to you. I mean, cooking might be a lot of hassle, but you look at the way your mate eats your cooking. And when she eats your cooking, you see the expression on her face, the pleasure in her face when she's eating it just fulfills you, knowing that she appreciates what you cook for her. Yeah. See how I switched it up? The lady thought I was going to get him now. Yeah, they had to say amen right about that. Miss Joe was ready to hit me. I said that sheep thing on me. She had to kind of back up a little bit on that. Yeah. In other words, I'm trying to tell you is that you got to learn how to get your pleasure out of pleasing somebody else. When I was young, I used to see the guys like they had fantasies of being with more than one woman at the same time. When I was young, you used to have them kind of, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I'm sorry. I'm y'all pastor. I used to have them kind of fantasies. But you know, I found out I can't really do that. I can't really do that because I found out I get my pleasure out of the woman. And so I can't get pleasure out of more than one because it's too many. I got to put all my focus, all my energy on making her. See, I'm trying to tell you, it's hard when you're trying to please a lady and she's sitting there like she wants to smoke on a cigarette. It's difficult trying to please your man and he like he's more interested in watching the game than he is taking care of business. I wish I had somebody will say amen right here. In other words, I'm trying to get you to see we feed off of one another. And you got to learn how you can get pleasure out of seeing your mate have pleasure. I get excited because I can make somebody else excited, and you ought to have that kind of excitement. You can't not want to do what you know going to please somebody else that you claim you love. You can't not want to do that which you know will fulfill somebody that you claim you care about. If you really care about them, you want to give all you can to making them a better person. here. The two become one flesh. When you come back, and I was looking at chapter 6, and I was looking at chapter 6, because when he came to chapter 6, he was talking about fornication and single people. But he still used that term, the two become one flesh. Because physically, when you come together,